Hello, Keller Chervenic. I am joined with Geneva Chervenic, my grandmother, and I'm going to be doing an interview with her. And so I want to introduce her a little bit, and she told me to tell you guys that she is 85 and fully alive. Yes. And I love that you said that, Grandma. So tell me how you got into real estate.
Well, it was a divine appointment, I'm sure. I had 5 healthy, happy children, and my hands were full, and I was certainly satisfied, but each time I was looking for something else of interest, because you never stop learning. If you stop learning, you stop living. So I saw this in 1962. One of the area brokers, or one of the area banks advertised a free real estate class. I thought, oh, I could learn about real estate, because this house is really too small, 5 kids and 3 bedrooms and a mother-in-law that visits, and we need 5 bedrooms. So I signed up for the course. Little did I realize that it was for a real estate license. Oh my gosh, and suddenly I am a licensed salesperson. It was I'm sure it was meant to be.
Sure.
Don't you think?
Yeah, so you were looking to get into a bigger house, right? That was
well,
the main
we
goal.
needed the
More space.
Need is the mother of invention. We needed a bigger house. I didn't even realize this is the way the Lord was going to do it. But it was.
Yeah.
It was.
Yeah.
And when I got my real estate license, I was so happy and so fulfilled and so busy. I didn't care if I ever moved. It was okay.
Yeah, I remember you telling me in that little space you were able to cook and clean and be on the phone the whole time.
Oh, yes, our whole house was 24 by 32.
Yeah.
So anyhow, I had a long cord on my phone, so I could be cooking dinner, washing dishes, watching the kids in the backyard, and talking on the phone, because, you can put that phone there and it just has a resting place. And I loved people, and I never stopped communicating. Every moment that I had free, I was calling people. And back then, we didn't have multiple listing. We didn't have anything like you have today. You are so blessed. You are so fortunate. So I had to buy this Haynes directory, $50, but it showed the name and address and the phone number of every street, every person. So I thought, I'm going to call them all. I'm going to tell them who I am and what I'm doing, and ask them to consider me if they know anyone or if they ever have a need. So it's communication. The word said, do good and communicate, forget not. You could be doing good all your life, but if you don't communicate, you're not going to get it out there.
Yeah. So how did you get your first listing?
Well, I knocked on doors. And I said, oh, could you tell me, I'm Geneva, and I live in your neighborhood. I'm your neighbor. I live at this address. And can you help me? They said, oh, what can we do for you? And so I said, do you know anyone who wants to move, get a bigger house, or who needs to sell a house? And they thought, and sometimes when I'd call them, they'd say, well, is there any people in your neighborhood who want to sell? They'd go outside and look up the street to see if there's any signs they could tell me about. So they were so helpful. And I just kept knocking until I found a person who wanted to move. And I got my first listing the day that my license came in. And so I had something to work. I had open houses. And when I had an open house, I had a party. I had music. I had flowers. I had food. My husband says people just come for the food, but it works. It works.
It does work, doesn't it? Well, so when you got into real estate, you got your license, and then how long did you work as a real estate salesperson?
Well, 10 years. I worked for 3 different brokers, and each time I think, oh, maybe if I went with this company, I could find what I'm looking for. I can find a place that just cooperates and doesn't compete. Because the competition, that's, while it may be good, cooperation is better. Cooperation is better. And so after working for 3 different companies and each time being disappointed, my husband and I decided, well, we will start a company that puts God first, and then family, and then family and then business. Yes. So anyhow, so we started our own company, and I got a broker's license, and I was the first woman broker in the area. And this is a board of realtors that were all men, and I didn't have a chance because the last broker, he kept my last 3 deals, which I was counting on. You know, I thought, well, when they close, he will pay me. Oh no, because he owned me, he owned my listing, he owned everything, and I got nothing. So I took him to the board, and the board found in his favor. And the one man who had a real estate company, his name was Marting, he was on that committee, and he resigned from the committee because of the unfair treatment. He said, you men are a bunch of chauvinist pigs. Now, I don't believe that today. I don't think any man is a chauvinist pig. I think men are precious. But he said, you are afraid your top producers are going to go out on their own, that she's going to set a pattern. And that's just what happened.
Yeah.
And that's why Keller Williams is so awesome, because it's profit sharing. It's not a user and abuser. It's a awesome.
It gives
setup.
back. Yeah,
it gives
system.
back, and it enables you to be your own boss. People want to be their own boss, and if you're with Keller Williams, you are a realtor. It's all a level playing field. There's no such thing as a broker and a lowly salesperson.
Right.
You know, you are the cream of the crop, every one of you, and I just am so thankful.
Yeah.
For your success, and that you're growing, and more families are joining.
Sure. So this culture that we have, this God, family, and business, it kind of resonates with what Geneva Chervenic Realty was into Keller Williams.
Yes.
What do you think about that? I mean, how did you start that culture? What was it about that was so important to you?
Well, I didn't start it. Keller Williams started it, but I was impressed, and David made that decision, and that was the best, because, you know, when you go to the next generation, you let go. You move on, you move out, and you move on, you know, because, and now that's what's happening now. The millennials, we need the millennials. We need your young people. We need your children and your children's children becoming whatever the Lord wants them to be. And everybody has a gift. And if you can find out what's your gift, and normally that directs you to a profession that creates success. My grandmother gave me the gift of faith. And if I could accomplish one thing in my lifetime, it would be to give that gift of faith to my children and my grandchildren and my great-grandchildren. And so, anyhow, I see those gifts operating in you people. I see the gift of leadership and administration and the gift of helps. And anyhow, Brooke didn't want me to talk about she didn't want me to just talk about myself, but we never could have made it without the family. It was a family. It was my husband who had the gift of administration. I couldn't administer
you don't like paperwork.
Yeah. But I have the gift of leadership. You know, people follow me, so I have to be careful to go in the right direction. You know, because there needs to be more leaders, and that's what Keller Williams recognizes when people are leaders, and they put them in the spots where they can lead and guide and direct. Keller Williams recognizes. That's why they have tests for people considering real estate.
Yeah, like the behavioral assessment.
Yes. You have to fit. You have to fit. You don't put a square peg in a round hole.
Yeah, exactly.
Right.
So tell me how you met your goals when you were a real estate salesperson and a broker. How did you set goals, and how did you meet them?
Well, actually, since I had taken the Dale Carnegie course, they taught about the value of setting goals. And so every New Year's Eve, we would spend New Year's Eve setting our goals. And we learned in this course that don't even consider whether you think you can do it or not. Just the most outlandish thing you can think of. So our goals were, we want to own this kind of home in this kind of neighborhood. Oh, we want to take our entire family to Hawaii for a vacation. We want to buy a condominium in Florida and spend holidays in Florida. We want to take our kids to Florida every Easter and every Christmas and every break time. And so, the Bible teaches us, without a vision, people perish. So this was a vision. And then 5 years later, we'd think, oh my gosh, all of those came to being. How did we do that? We didn't believe. We didn't believe we could do that. But yet we set that goal. So if you don't make goals, you start. And don't wait like a year at a time. And thank God Keller Williams teaches these things, and they have training. And the people would come, say, we want to work for you. And my husband would say, well, we're not large enough to have training, so if you would go to this other company and get training, and then you come back, we'll hire you. That did not make people happy, because they did. So Keller Williams has it all. They have the training. They have the profit sharing. They have the family gatherings. And they love you and appreciate you. And they're there. The other people are not there to compete with you. They're there to help you. To say, I did it this way. Try this. Try that. So anyhow, it's just a privilege. And Brookie is one of my 12 grandchildren, and I remember giving her a bath in my kitchen sink, and she called me Geneva. So if she calls me Geneva, I'm going to call her Brookie. But anyhow, it's a pleasure. It's a pleasure to have you in the family, because you are special. Grandma. You are special, and so is your father and your mother and
my brother.
And your brother. Oh, her brother has so many gifts and abilities. That kid can do anything. He can remodel houses. He can repair cars. He has such wisdom and the practical things, and he just wins friends and influences people by keeping his mouth shut. But he listens. And then he'll say, ha, ha, ha. If we could get him talking, the kid will never shut up, because he has so much to say. But Brent, thank you for being there. Thank you for being there to wire the offices and set up the computers and tell all the technical knowledge that you have that you just keep to yourself. Because Grandma needs that. I need a tech in my life.
Yeah, I hope Brent is watching. I haven't seen his name pop up. So
love you, Brent. Love you, Cheryl. Love you, David, Lori, all you workers. Jana. Yes. Yes.
Well, Grandma, I love that culture was so important, and it's so important at Keller Williams. I think we've touched on quite a few things from, the God family business, and also always talking to people, and I think even just back to the lead generation that you used to do from knocking on doors, that's still something that creates success. And also making calls, it's so important. I know you all just went to Bold yesterday, so making your calls and lead generating.
Every day.
Yes, and now that we have all these scripts available to everybody to share the wealth of knowledge, back in your day, you didn't really have that. You just kind of did it, right?
Well, I took every course that came available, so take the courses. Keller Williams has the training. Take advantage. If you take all the training that Keller Williams recommends and suggests, nothing can keep you down. You will be a millionaire. Don't doubt it. Don't doubt it. Set your goals to be a millionaire, that get other people working for you. And I just thank you, each and every one of you. And I just want to tell you that I love you. Have I told you lately that God loves you? And I love you too. Okay?
Yeah. Do you have anything else you want to say to everybody at Keller Williams?
Welcome to the world of real estate. And the 25 years that my husband and I and our family were involved were the best years of our life. So don't keep waiting for when's the best years of my life. It's not going to be when you're 85 and fully alive. It is now. Live it, love it. And thank you.
Yes, I love you, Grandma.
God bless you. Mwah, mwah.
Thank you, guys. Have a good weekend.